Hey, welcome to another edition of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. We have a very special program for you today, but first I wanted to kind of dive off into our schedule a little bit. It's almost basketball season, which I am ecstatic about. The Lobos are underway. But if you're watching us this week, championships coming up, quarterfinals of football, go to our website at proviewnetworks.com. Check out links to those streams there. Of course, you get your NFHS network pass for those. You can buy your playoff pass just for the football playoffs, or this would be a good time to buy a yearly pass. It'll carry you through the entire basketball season. And we have some championships coming up as well in volleyball. So go to proviewnetworks.com, check that out for our schedule. One thing that really caught my eye in the sports, media, you could say, that I wanted to cover before I introduce my guest is happening in New York right now. I'm a big not Mets fan, so this caught my eye. In New York right now, if you commit a crime and you're pending trial, they will give you free tickets to the Mets if you show up to your court date. How about that? I mean, I know the Mets are bad, but that really caught my eye. All right, we have a very special guest today. I don't think it's understating to say that he is one of the really remarkable feel-good stories in the sports community here, and that is La Cueva running back Tyler Jennson. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you.
And you're kind of a renaissance man. Just talking to you before we went on the air here, and we'll cover all that. We'll cover football. We'll cover all that. But tell us a little more about the young little Tyler Jennson.
Just from a young age, because I do have an older brother and older sister. It was like we were kind of always like messing around with each other, fighting, and like from a young age, just grew up in sports, and that's really all I've like known is just messing around. Like from like I think 3, I started off on like rollerblades, just following my brother's path, because he did play roller hockey, and then following from there, just ice hockey, and then swimming and football, because I started swimming because I was too young to play football, just messing around in my brother's football practices. My parents had to get me doing something because I had too much energy.
So yeah, the rollerblading and the roller hockey, it seems like those are the most injury-prone sports, especially at that age. How were you drawn to those specifically?
Just hockey was because I grew up in Florida for a little bit, and like they didn't really have ice hockey out there, but roller hockey was really big, like in like our friend group and just all that. So my brother started out, and I was like, I was just a young boy. I was like, I just want to do what my brother does. And so that's why I found myself on some rollerblades, and just always, everywhere I went, they were on my feet, just through the house, backyard, in the streets, so everywhere. That's what I started with.
So I would imagine your first sports-related injury came pretty early then in life?
I mean, really up until, like, I've never really had any sports injuries up until, like, this year, like, severe ones. So, like, I just get injured doing random things, like messing around with friends or just, like, at school. Like, I had more injuries at school during recess than I did during any
So
sports.
Nothing crazy during rollerblading? Because, I would imagine
nothing
just a
crazy.
little kid running around doing that's got broken bones written all over it.
I've only broken a couple bones, and that was just messing around.
Now, you did jump off the stairs when you were 3, so tell us about that.
I did. I don't know. We in our house, we just had like, this kind of like staircase that went down into the corner, and like my brother showed me, like he jumped, so I was like, I thought I could do that. But like when your brother's 7 and you're 3, there's like a little bit of a difference there, you could think, when they're jumping off stairs and then when you try. So, I gave it a shot, ended up landing on the ankle, and then ended up in an old grandpa, like you could say, walker for a little bit.
All right. How did the parents react to this turn of events?
I can't imagine they reacted well, seeing the little 3-year-old kid flying off the stairs with their older brother watching. So I imagine my brother got a little talking to, and they just had to deal with me. So
I could just picture you as the Buffalo Bills Mafia, but at 3 years old.
Yeah, just flying down,
jumping through tables and things. So when did your athletic passion really start to give shape? I mean, tell us about your first organized sports. I know you talked about swimming, going to that, but when did everything kind of really start?
Everything kind of started, I'd say, probably like 3 years old with the roller hockey. And then just like started off with that, and then soccer. I feel like every kid at some point in time plays soccer. And then from soccer, just flag football. This was all in Florida. And then once I moved to New Mexico, just still like picked up ice hockey, because we didn't really have that out there in Florida. So I went from ice hockey to swimming, because my parents, like I said, had to find something for me to do, so I wasn't always running around in my brother's football. And then after swimming, football started. and then just from there it took off.
Okay. And which of those, at a young age, were you most successful or the best at?
I was probably most successful in swimming, just kind of like that's all I put like all my time and effort into, and that's just like really is what took me.
Now, you were not just successful, but featured in a swimming magazine, right?
Yeah, Swimmers World actually featured me and my relay team when we were. It was either 10 and under, 11 and 12. We actually held the number 1 and 2 times in the nation for that swimming, and then just through swimming, just like breaking state records from a young age with like individually and with my teammates. So I feel like that's where I had some of my most success early on.
Did you have visions of the Olympics back then when you were 10 years old, or what was? I mean, how deep were you into this swimming thing?
I mean, swimming was like nonstop for me every day, like after school, and just like chasing my older friends who like we were compared to, just like because they were like going on. The kid I was chasing after now swims D1 at Notre Dame, and is number 2 in the nation for his events. So just like chasing after them was like the big goal, and then following those footsteps was qualifying for like other like meets in different states. That was the big goal.
Now, we mentioned the stairs when you were 3. Did you ever anything crazy as far as aquatics jump? Because I have a pool in my yard, and when the parties get a little crazy, we have been known to climb on the roof and jump into the pool. Yeah, this is hard to believe, I know. It was at a more agile state in my life. But so anything crazy like that ever happened with you, or?
Not really any pool jumps, but definitely just some belly flops at the.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So, what triggered the move to New Mexico?
Triggered the move just to New Mexico, just work for my dad, just
Great.
better opportunities.
So we're going to take our first time out here. When we get back with Tyler, we'll kind of jump into La Cueva athletics and more with Tyler Jennson.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch green chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut! We're gonna need another Laguna Burger.
Try the irresistible, world-famous Laguna Burger. Visit thelagunaburger.com. It's fresh with a kick.
Take 32.
Back with La Cueva's Renaissance man here, Tyler Jennson. Tyler, let's talk about your arrival there at La Cueva. What was the plan athletically? Football, obviously, but what else? I mean, there's a lot of choices, and it sounds like you're good at a lot.
So just in the fall, just start off with football, you know, and then it was really the decision between swimming and diving, just because my mom, like, I always grew up in the water. She wanted me back in the water, you know.
Which
just
is a very successful program at La Cueva, right?
Like, definitely. And so I chose diving that winter, you know, just keep me active. And then up in the spring is when I'd start track, and during track I do javelin. So that's just how it is. It goes football, diving, and then track.
And so there's really no off period, right? So what do you do in the summer?
In the summer, this year I actually had a job as a lifeguard at the country club, but other than that, it's just wake up, go to football, hang out, and go to bed.
So the poster child for not specializing in a sport, right? Because you hear that talked about a lot, where some people are just all in on one sport, and is it a bad thing? I mean, what would you say about that, since you've kind of done so much?
I definitely think the other, because I grew up just playing, like, constantly playing sports, I think that's really helped me with just, like, endurance and, like, finding not just a love for one sport, that you can, like, branch out and still love all these things and do everything you want.
So tell us about your freshman year there at La Cueva as far as sports.
Freshman year was, I thought it was a pretty successful year for sports, you know. Through the freshman C team, you know, we weren't the best, but some of us players got pulled up to practice with the varsity and dress out with the varsity. So just going to see that, like being on the sidelines during their state championship run, and then actually being on the field during the state championship at Wilson. Unfortunately, we lost, but just the experience as a freshman, like not knowing really like anything that happens during that level of sports, it was really cool to see.
So was that your first exposure to kind of La Cueva football and the expectations? Because I know, like, I've done some Yaffle games and stuff, and for La Cueva, and that's when I first started to realize, whoa, some of these people are kind of nuts.
Yeah. Look,
and you know, the expectations are so high. When was your first kind of exposure to that?
It was definitely just my first varsity practice. It was like I got smacked, and I was like, that's the real deal. Like, coach is yelling at you if like you do anything. It's like, because you think like, oh, I'm just a freshman, they're not going to care. That's when they don't care what age you are or nothing. Like, if you're out there, you're expected to go all out, and if you're not, they're going to let you know.
So do you remember that first hit, who it was, what the situation was?
I do remember who it was.
So tell us about that.
So we do this drill called Vortex, just a hitting drill, and I'm lined up in the backfield, and I look and I see.
And so you're probably just a freshman, just half paying attention,
yeah,
right?
And so I'm just like hopping up because like I just hear kids smack, and so I'm like, oh no. And so I step up, and the next thing I know, I see on the line, I see Ryan McLean, Derek Lloydel, this kid Adam Jennson, and Hunter Cardiff, and I was like, oh my gosh.
So of all the guys, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit harder than Derek, to be honest.
I mean, I was friends with them, so they took it a little easy on me, but still, I got the ball, and I looked up, and they were already in my face, and then I was on my back, so I don't really know what happened, but they crushed me.
And then I can only imagine Brandon. So take us, what was he yelling as soon as you hit the ground?
Let's go, get up, next one. It's funny, it's just constant, fast-moving pace. We're all about tempo at La Cueva, so.
Right. Yeah, I must say your practices are very impressive. We went to a two-a-day before this season, and you could see it was at another level. I mean, that's something that's pretty cool about this job, is when Adam and I go around during practice before the season, and Josh, our director, you know, he has to carry the equipment, drive me around, things like that. You know, talent doesn't drive. But we see teams, and you know, there's always the 3 or 4 teams that they're taking reps at a whole nother level, more reps, no really downtime between indie periods, things like that. And you guys are definitely one of those teams. So talk about after your freshman year. Well, what else? There was obviously more than football, right?
Yeah, track. So actually, diving came after football, and then with diving, you know, me and 2 other friends did it. We just kind of did it as a joke, but then like I realized like what like I had to do for like to qualify for state for diving, and because like I had grown up at a pool, like I've always been on diving boards, and so like I'm like experienced like in the air with that. So I was able, like I set my mind to like qualifying for state for diving, and then in the first meet I went out, did all my dives, and actually did qualify for the state meet for diving, and then didn't compete as well as I wanted to at diving, but it's okay. I was just a freshman, you know, just being introduced to the sport. And then after that, track came along, and then my mom told me I had to run, and I wasn't allowed to throw because I did have like some shoulder problems. She didn't want me to mess them up for football. And then one day, like I saw my friends throwing javelin, and I was tired, so I didn't want to run. So I went started throwing javelin. Like the coach came up to me and said like I was like pretty good, and so I just kept with it, and then eventually qualified for state, and then got 5th place at state for javelin as a freshman.
Just started throwing the javelin.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Just placed in state, no big deal. Yeah, I got it. I got you. All right, so after freshman year, obviously you were on the field at Wilson, watching that. What goals immediately come to mind for the following season when it comes to football?
So just as a freshman, everyone's like the goal for like freshman year was just be pulled up for varsity.
Right.
And then for sophomore year, my goal was not just to be able to play in JV games, but also play on Friday nights, you know, get my special teams reps, and then work in with the offense or defense, whatever best suited me. And so that's what I worked up to. Finally, I gotten on, I'd been doing good in JV, so I earned my varsity jersey and stickers on my helmet. And so and then finally I was just flown in with special teams and getting some reps on offense when we were going up, but that's just how it was going, and then suddenly, you know, got sick.
Right, and so that's what we're gonna fast forward ahead to now. Let's talk about that. I mean, when did you find out? What was the diagnosis?
So I was just hanging out with Cole McLean this one Saturday night, just at his house hanging out, and went home. It's time to go to bed, and just was brushing my teeth and saw a lump in my armpit, and I was like, that looks strange, you know, you get cuts all over your body from football, but this was a weird enough lump in a spot where I was like, I don't know how I've gotten hit here, how it would swell up. And so I was like, yeah, Mom, just take a look at this, you know. We did some researching, but we were kind of she was quiet about it to me. And so the following day was Sunday, and so we just called around to our friend who's a pediatrician, and she said, yeah, just get it checked out, nothing's gonna hurt, you know. And so we did get checked out, and the first person we saw, she didn't really know what she saw, so she was a little concerned, and then she called around and just wanted me to get an ultrasound on it. And so that ultrasound led to another ultrasound and chest x-rays, and then once they got those x-rays back, they found all the masses in my chest and below the diaphragm, and so that's when they resulted in a stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
So you get the news for stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. How does your family react? And then second, you know, who's the first to know in your circle there at La Cueva?
I mean, definitely the family was hit hard because we were supposed to go see my brother, my best friend, out for family weekend out at his college. And I had finally worked up to the starting spot on offense for my position. And so I was we were waiting, and then being hit with the news that I wasn't just going to miss this game, I was going to miss the rest of the season and miss being able to see my brother, flying out because I was stuck in the hospital. Yeah, he actually came out to see me instead of me going out to see him. So just having that, just to hanging out with my brother in the hospital instead of out doing stuff, watching college football, it hit us pretty hard. Just knowing that we'd just be spending a lot of family time in the hospital instead.
Quick, how did you break that news to your team, or who was the first person non-family to find out about this, and how did that go?
Coach Back found out first because I have a good relationship with Coach, just always. He's known me from a young age, and I've known him. So when my mom told him, it was I don't really know how you reacted because I was just starstruck, but the team was hit pretty hard. The following day after surgery, I woke up and everyone was in the lobby waiting for me. So the support was amazing.
So that'll be a good chance for us to break. We'll do a little commercial break here, and we'll pick up with that, the support system and your team rallying around you when we get back.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
All right, back with Tyler Jennson of the La Cueva Bears. We talked about your diagnosis, finding out, and we kind of left off with the support system you had in place. So talk about that.
The support was amazing, just from not only family but friends, and then other people were reaching out to me. Like, I didn't really know them, but just seeing like the whole community like reach out, and then the school like started making wristbands, and they made some posters, and just like constantly everyone was showing up at the hospital, like bringing us food and asking like if I needed company, just everything. And the football team was amazing because they if you didn't realize, but last year, did you see the 21s on the helmet? So that was for the color yellow too, for pediatric cancer. So just the support that everyone showed, it was truly amazing.
And I mean, talking about the when did chemo start, all that. I mean, that had to be a pretty lengthy and painful process, right?
So I think the hardest part was the waiting game, definitely, because when they first diagnosed me that Wednesday night, they had an idea, so it wasn't like a true like 100% diagnosis, and so, because doctors don't really work on the weekends, so like because I did, yeah, it's annoying.
It's a good job if you can get it, Tyler.
Yeah, and so we go in on a Wednesday night, they don't start helping me until like Thursday, and doctors have one day, and then they're off for the weekend. It's horrible when you're a patient in there.
Right.
And so they do a biopsy on one of the nodes in my neck, and we don't find out. We have to wait Saturday, Sunday, and then we had to wait Monday until Tuesday. That's when we really found out what it was.
Are you thinking, during this waiting game, are you thinking best case scenario, worst case scenario? What's going through your mind?
I mean, I was like just trying to see like when can I get started, because I knew like what it was and how it was going to be. It was just like they were trying to find the stage of it and like how severe it was like throughout everything. And I think the most annoying part was that everywhere we went I had to be wheelchaired. And so just like trying to get out of that because I had to be supervised by hospital people is kind of annoying.
Right.
So just the waiting game and then the pain kind of. It was more, I didn't have a lot of like, what do you call it, like side effects from the chemos, but definitely the bone pain.
Right.
And this like, I don't know, mental pain almost, just like watching all your best friends like do what they love to do and you just have to be watching on TV while they're doing it. So
we did see a picture online, I remember, of at last year when the whole team with the hair. Talk about that.
Well, that was really amazing. It was actually on because when my hair started falling out, because I used to have really long hair, it started falling out, and then the next day was my friend's birthday, and I showed up at school, and like everyone realized like my hair was gone, and so just like the friends that I have, we all messed around with each other. And so like, yeah, Ty, shave my head. And so it goes from one kid wanting to shave his head to like all the boys wanting to shave their head. And so I just had a couple of like the closest friends show up to the house to shave their head. It was like, for some of you, for example, like people you might know is like Brad Thomas, Austin Smith, Cole McLean, Colton Dukes, and just those kids. And then the rest of the football team branched out and did it by themselves to like show me the support that they had. And it was really amazing. And then other kids at school, like who I'd known for a while, but like we weren't as close, were like doing it for me too, shaving their heads, which is
right. So that student body community, which sometimes gets a bad rap, I mean, they really kind of were all together as a family there. That had to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, like it's like when tragedy hits, you really see like everyone come together.
Right.
And it's like it's truly amazing.
So now talk about coming out on the other side. I mean, where's your mindset at? When you're out on the other side, are you just all in on getting back to football? What changed, I guess is what I'm asking. What changed in your life? I know cancer changes a person, so what changed in your life?
I think the thing that changed me is like my want to do stuff. Like I just don't want to, because like you never know when it's going to be the last. So like say like I was slacking off like last year, it's like now like I know it can happen tomorrow. Right. So every day I'm going as hard as I can no matter what, and then letting people know that I'm coming.
What I always dig about you on the sideline is your positive vibe about you. Were you always that positive guy, or is that something that, cancer really put life into perspective and maybe you became even more positive of a person, or has that always been your personality?
I think if you ask my close friends, I've always been like like a little bit of a goon, like always like messing around, having some fun. But like last year I was a little bit more to myself, like unless like you're really inside my friend group, I was like kind of like low key. But now everyone's really knows everything about me, so like I ain't got nothing to hide anymore. So I just express that, just always having a good time. Can never really like say anything bad. Just out there having fun.
So we get to this year's football season, and we're actually at, Adam and I and Josh are at two-a-days. I believe it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, the last week before school picked up. And I remember Coach Back telling me that, the running back position's still up for grabs. Tyler looks like he'll be the starter, and that was before the injury.
Yeah.
And so I think we hear word, 2 days later, I think it happened? Right?
It was a Friday. It was Friday at
Yeah,
like
okay.
6:15 in the morning.
Right. So take us through that.
It was like the first day, full pads, hitting, and the coaches were having me because I like twisted the ankle like previously in the beginning of the summer, so they just wanted me to get it looked at, checked, because we were going to be doing contact, just like someone grabs my leg, and so I got it wrapped every day, treatment, and then finally I show up a little bit later to practice, like 6:05 I show up to practice because I was in the trainer's room. I'm all taped up and everything. We go straight into hitting drills, and I'm banging with some of the teammates, and then we get out, and like it was just a complete drill, like no contact, nothing. And so I cut up the hole, and some kid like falls and grabs my leg, my right leg, and so I start hopping on my left, which is the one that was taped and like had been slightly injured before, and I just jump, and I just felt like a crack up my whole leg, and my leg just gave out, and I just was instantly yelling. And what happened was I broke my tibia like through my ankle joint, and it broke vertically up my leg, and it was probably the most, like even with the whole cancer thing, I think it was the most painful thing I've ever felt.
So your mindset is, hey, you could be the starting running back at the place that brought us Ronnie Daniels, DeAndre Williams, to now there's this setback. I mean, what's going through your mind?
I think the first thing I said was that when I told my coach, because I knew it was broken immediately, they told me, I told them I worked too hard for this to be broken, because like you break your leg or ankle, and the first thing I tell you is like 2 to 3 months, and that's like majority of the whole season.
Right.
And then, but like as soon as I found out, like went to my doctors right after they found out it was broken, scheduled the surgery 3 days later, got a plate and 4 screws in there, and then instantly just doing everything I could to rehab. And as soon as I got my cast off and into a boot, I was in the pool, walking, and eventually running. And then I think it was 4 or 5 weeks out from surgery.
Right.
I was back on the field, just running through, and then.
Right. So we get to we're running out of time here, but we get to the My 50 game of the week, and honestly, Adam and I, we're both just giddy as hell every time you're touching the ball, knowing that, hey, this could be the first touchdown back. Take us through that.
I mean, the first Eldorado was the first game back, and like they told me, like, yeah, you're gonna get some plays, but we don't know how many.
Right.
So I was like, okay, like, come on, coach, put me in.
Right.
And so finally, like the other running back, he made a slight mistake. So like Jennson, get in, and then just from there, I was like, okay, it's my time. I start pounding the rock like all day, and so I was breaking some, and then finally I broke into the outside, followed, but it got called back. So I was like, like dang, like come on now, like a touchdown. And then finally, it's like fourth quarter, like we're like up by 1 touchdown, I'm pretty sure, and so I was like, okay, like they called me, I was like, coach, just give me the ball to the outside and I'm gone. And so I go, we were running to the left, and I hit the hole, and I was holding my teammates back, and I just see a little opening, so I jump cut and I just bounced it outside, and all I saw was green, and so I was flying. And then I turn around, next time I'm in the end zone, and I see everyone running after me. It was so sick.
Yeah, I was on that sideline with Connor, with Nas, and everybody that was in street clothes, and you could see how much that meant to everybody. And I guess this story is to be continued, right? Because you guys got a big game coming up.
Yes, we do.
Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll all be watching, and we'll be rooting for you. Tyler, thank you so much for making time and coming in.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Good night, everybody. Shut Up and Talk is next.